club a phoenix from the ashes, or are its new foundations?
No, I think it's the phoenix from the ashes, man.
During the 1990s, Rangers...
What's going on, guys? That is JJ here, back with a new video today once again, and today we're going to take a look at the Tifo football video, the fall and the rise of Rangers. Now, obviously, Rangers are flying high in the SPFL right now, going head-to-head with Celtic, trying to stop the reign that Celtic have had over the SPFL, over the Champions League spots. And I mean, they're both in the Europa League now this year, and they're both flying high in the Europa League, with Steven Gerrard continuing to pile the Rangers, or not the Rangers, to pile the Rangers towards the title run and possibly towards a knockout round Europa League run, which I think would be a good thing for them. But obviously, you guys let me know your thoughts on this video, because I love Tifo football. I've always wanted to do their videos. I always feel weird doing their videos because they put so much effort into them, and I appreciate them so much. So definitely go leave them a subscribe and let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys want to see more videos like this, and I know you guys want to see more Rangers videos, there will be some more coming very soon. But other than that, let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video just down in the description below.
Rangers
Oh God, no subtitles.
5 times between 2003 and 2011, as well as reaching the final of the UEFA Cup in 2008, which on the face of it was an impressive achievement, as the club went toe-to-toe with resurgent Celtic.
Ooh.
To compete with Celtic, however, the club was prepared to take steps that would ultimately lead to its liquidation and its demotion to the Scottish.
Wait, what? I did not realize that they, I mean, I know that they got liquidated because I know, I took a sports information and psychology class when I was in college, and knowing essentially the fall of Rangers was mainly due to financial reasons sucks. But I didn't know they were sent all the way to the 3rd tier. That's rough. Okay, let's get back into it.
It would take 4 years out of the top flight before the club was once again able to face its rivals in a league match. The high-profile recruitment of Steven Gerrard as manager in
Stevie G
2018 has whetted the appetite of fans and pundits. But is the club a phoenix from the ashes, or are its new foundations?
No, I think it's the phoenix from the ashes, man.
During the 1990s, Rangers were the dominant force in Scottish football. The wealth of owner David Murray allowed the club to recruit the likes of Paul Gascoigne, Tor-Andre Flo, Brian Laudrup and Mo Johnston, and the club won 9 titles in a row. Murray claimed for every £5 we will spend,
oh wow,
and the dynasty seemed unstoppable, but it was built on debt. Celtic were, however, improving their finances thanks to the backing of Irish billionaire Matt Desmond. With managers such as Wim Jansen and Martin O'Neill, the battle for supremacy in the Scottish game became more balanced on the field, and the investment in the infrastructure at Celtic Park, plus more regular progress in the UEFA competitions, meant that the club's income was ahead of that of their
so improve their finances while improving
Celtic
on the field.
more money in the early 2000s, it meant that they could sign better players to compete with their rivals in terms of recruitment. Rangers during this period were generating large losses as they had a smaller capacity stadium and were generating less matchday income. The only way to underwrite these losses was to borrow money, which the club did within reasons, such that by June 2004, Rangers owed £74 million to financial institutions. Behind the scenes, Rangers were also trying to compete with Celtic by some creative tax activities. This involved the creation of the Employee Benefit Trusts, where the club paid money into a trust. The EBT then lent money to players who in theory promised to pay it back, but there was no or little effort to ask for that money back from players, who effectively therefore treated it as regular income. Wait,
that is so confusing. So they just paid money into a trust that players could then take? That is so... Why would you do... Okay, we'll continue.
This approach was that the club did not pay national insurance contributions on the payments to the players, who also did not pay income tax on these loans from the trusts. The players were happy because they ended up with the net pay they were seeking, so everyone was a winner, well, apart from the government. This policy worked to the extent that Rangers won the Scottish Premier League 5 times from 2003 to 2011, but critics will argue that they were abusing the tax system in the process, and those titles were at best tainted and at worst should have been stripped from the club's list of trophies. The global financial crash of 2007, created by the financial community who lent money to the people and businesses who had no ability to repay the sums advanced, hit Rangers in 2 ways. Owner David Murray's business struggled, and so was unable to provide the club with further financial support, and the main bank lender, the Royal Bank of Scotland, effectively went into public ownership following its own financial meltdown, and there was a far less relaxed approach towards Rangers from the bank's new senior management as a result. Furthermore, the UK tax authorities became increasingly unhappy with Rangers' use of EBTs, which had been originally sanctioned for non-employees, which was not the case in the respective club and its players. The tax authorities saw the approach taken by the club as a form of tax evasion and pursued the club for a tax bill of up to £49 million. An increasingly desperate David Murray therefore sold the club to Craig White for just £1, who promised to settle the tax issues and the bank loans. But White did
Oh,
not.
wow.
And as more and more creditors were issuing writs for unpaid debts, the club appointed administrators in February.
And that's administration.
This angered HMRC, who had wanted to appoint their own administrators to investigate Rangers' affairs, and so HMRC refused to agree to a deal with the administrators, leading to Rangers going into liquidation, provoking a constitutional crisis in Scottish football.
This is unreal.
Sevco Scotland was set up and bought Rangers' assets from the liquidator, although players were allowed to leave the club for free, as technically their contracts were with the old club. Other SPL clubs voted that Sevco, now called Rangers Football Club Limited, was not allowed to take the place of Rangers in the top flight, and instead the newly formed company was invited to join the Scottish 3rd Division. Rangers had income of £19 million in 2012-13 in the Scottish 3rd Division, which was more than double that of the other 9 teams in the league. And Rangers had similar success in the Scottish 2nd Division the following season.
So so essentially they actually ended up making still a ton of money because Rangers fans out there decided that they weren't going to abandon their club. They continued to pour in money, continued to pour in support, and now that Rangers essentially had a company that could deal with their debts, they were just building baseable income. Okay, I mean that makes a lot of sense, but it sucks obviously that you guys, the fans, had to sit through the Scottish 3rd team, the Scottish 2nd tier. That's crazy.
Further and further behind Celtic in terms of generating income and signing players, which meant that when Rangers were finally promoted to the SPFL and had their first season there in 2016-17, they generated only a third of the revenue of Celtic. And the club have also returned to using debt as a
Oh no.
Although, as there is great suspicion from banks towards the club, the lending is almost exclusively from directors. At the last count, Rangers owed lenders £21 million in June 2018, although subsequently some of this has been written off as lenders converted the IOUs from the club, which some consider to be worthless, into shares instead. The arrival of Steven Gerrard has introduced a feel-good factor to the club, and there were £1 million plus signings such as Barisic, Goldson and Murphy, along with loans from Liverpool as Stevie G used his contact book to try and improve the quality of the playing squad. The club is now competing with their rivals in an SPFL that has greater uncertainty than it has seen in years. For this to be achieved, the board has admitted that it will need a further £4.6 million to survive this season and has gone cap in hand to investors for extra funding.
Oh boy.
The recent elimination from the Europa Cup will not have helped Rangers' financial woes, and in addition, largest shareholder Dave King seems to spend more time in court arguing with the likes of Mike Ashley and the Takeover panel, who believe he should buy out the remaining shareholders than focusing on issues on the pitch. Whether King has the wealth he claims to buy those shares is as yet unproven, as are many issues in relation to the club's activities. Furthermore, there are squabbles and threats of litigation between the administrators, liquidators, former owners, HMRC and former players, which could result in large sums being payable by some. But the only guarantee is that the lawyers, as always, will be rich on the pickings of the disputes between them.
I did not realize that Rangers were still in that much debt. I thought they'd actually resolved those issues by going into liquidation, and that the club was going to continue to thrive sort of in that manner after their return to the SPFL. But I mean, obviously, I don't know what the situation is like currently. You guys have to let me know but let me know what this video is maybe missing, whether it's not updated or not. Have Rangers sort of solidified their position? It would help, obviously, if they qualified for the Champions League or even the Champions League qualifications in some way, shape, or form. But them still at least competing in the Europa League, still doing very, very well in the Europa League, and maybe even making it to the knockout rounds. It's probably big for their checkbook, probably big for their pocketbook, and they're actually still signing pretty good players, still very cheap players, who they can then maybe turn onto a profit later. The likes of Giannis Haji obviously comes to mind. Kamar Roof comes to mind. I think he came from Leeds, if I'm not mistaken. So players who could play very, very well for them in Europe, in the SPFL, going up against Celtic, where they could still get some more earnings because they've leveled the playing field in terms of the league play. And they maybe could I mean, I hope it's not another situation where Rangers sacrifice success for eventual liquidation. And I'm hoping that for you guys. But obviously you guys can let me know your thoughts on the video down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. and peace.